click. Okay. Uh, yeah, I think our speech will begin, but before the speech, I should say it's our big honor that Professor Kuma-san can come to our school and have a speech. We all know Professor Kuma is very famous architect in the world. I think that he designed a lot of great buildings in the world and also win a lot of design competition in the world. Also, he published many good books address his architectural theories and the concept about his belief. So, besides because we know we are very lucky to have this speech because Kuma-san's wife, Professor Shinohara, have a good effort and help in this speech. And also, thanks to Professor Shinohara, provided some support of cooperation with two schools, JW and TKU. Okay, let's welcome Professor Kengo Kuma.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this exciting school. So, I heard from Professor Shinohara how your students are working together working hard for the collaboration with JWU. And also I heard today is very busy day because the final presentation is tomorrow, and I'm very sorry for having this bad timing. But anyways, so many students are coming here, so I'd like to speak about my philosophy and my recent practice. But if you want to study more about my philosophy, you should read the books that I wrote. I don't know the Chinese title. The English title is Defeated Architecture and Natural Architecture. Those two books is already translated into the Taiwanese. Okay, I think it is between the. Okay, so is it possible to control? Right. I started. I want to start from my own personal stories. As I started my office in 1986. So when I finished my study in Columbia University in New York, I came back to Tokyo in 1986. I started my own practice. But 1986, that was a so-called bubble era in Japan. The economy was so too good, and so even for the young architects, we could get a commission from the big companies. But suddenly, the 1991, between 1991 and 1992, that bubble economy was collapsed. It's very suddenly. We couldn't get any commission, in that time. The 1990s was very, very bad timing for us. That period for us. But if I look back that period, it's a very meaningful time for us because in 1990s I did not work in Tokyo, so I should find the project outside of Tokyo. Of course, it is not easy, but with a small project outside of Tokyo, I could study about the essence of architecture and the real meaning of architecture. So I want to start that project. This is the project completed 1994, but actually the start of the project is 1992, just after the burst of bubble. This is a mountain. Looks like a mountain, but it's our project. You see the inland sea of Japan is a beautiful location. And it's the top of the island. Island Oshima, and the client is a small town, and they prepared the flat land for us. That means they cut the top of the mountain. This is still they cut the top of the mountain to prepare flat land, and they asked me to design the monument of the island, but I was not so happy to hear that. Because the site is beautiful, but they cut the mountain. And I finally decided to propose them to recover the silhouette of the mountain as it was, and then that's the final solution. The mountain is this building, this architecture is not the isolated object. This is just a slit into the mountain. Next. They cut the mountain at these lines, and we designed the hole. We designed the slit, and then the earth. We recovered the ground like that, and the vegetation on the top of the ground, and finally, we could go back to the original section of the mountain. Next. This is the bottom of the building. And this slit is entrance, and actually 300 people can sit here. It is more than, it's almost same size as this classroom. Okay. This as a picture was taken 3 years after completion of the building. Just 3 years, those the trees are fully covered, and the next picture is my favorite because it looks like just a mountain. But Architecture magazine didn't like it. They said it is nothing. But I think nothing is important for this project. Next project is also the example of the disappearing architecture. This is Kitakami Canal Museum. This is Kitakami Canal. This is our museum. This is the site is just beside the big rivers, and it is in Ishinomaki City. And probably some of you know the name Ishinomaki as the big earthquake. March 11th, the big earthquake. The city of Ishinomaki was damaged so much that by the tsunami, and the Ishinomaki city, 30% of the city was completely damaged. And as this project is in that Ishinomaki city, and I was so worried about what happened here, and I called the building. This is many times, but we couldn't reach. The telephone was not working at that time. The telephone to Tohoku area was not working in that week. And after 2 weeks, finally we could talk with the people, and they said we survived. And then just next to the building, the small houses were disrupted. But this building is a little bit higher than the small houses, and then that was saved, survived. But I visited the place after tsunami, and the landscape was totally changed. I was so surprised because the land was dropped more than 1 meter. And then that means that the land was dropped and then the waters was raised. And so then the landscape of the river was very different from that was before. And the 1 meter drop is incredible, unbelievable. Okay. So my idea is, this is Kitakami River, and this is Kitakami Canal. So my idea is the building is like a tunnel. So usually the building is a box, but in this case the building is a tunnel in the ground. And our goal is to create the continuous experience. Next. And this is the tunnel we designed. Next. This is a section of Kitakami rivers as a town. And this area was almost destroyed by tsunami. Next. This is the entrance to the building. This is the entrance. But again, it is very difficult to find the entrance. Next. 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 This is the bottom of the tunnel. Next. I love the beauty of this place. So, and the Tohoku area, the still nature is existing. And then we designed the very big windows, and half of the furniture is outside, and half of the furniture is inside. Next. Next. This is view from the Kitakami River. And next project is the water/glass in the Shizuoka 1995. The beginning of the story is this the wooden box. And this wooden box was designed by a famous German architect. His name is Bruno Taut. Do you know the Bruno Taut? He came to Japan 1933, and 1933 was the year when in Germany Nazis got the government in 1933, and he wanted to escape from Nazis to Asia, and then he finally came to Japan. And he designed this wooden box with Japanese craftsmen in Tohoku area, because Tohoku areas he found many good craftsmen, and he could design this kind of beautiful box. Next. And actually, my father bought this box in Ginza at 1936, because my father was the same generation as Bruno Taut, and he bought that box. And that is the house designed by Bruno Taut, the only house designed by Bruno Taut in Japan. And it looks like not so interesting, but when you visit that house, the experience is amazing. The Pacific Ocean is in front of this house, and he wants to design the continuity of the space with the environment. And he wrote the book about this Katsura Villa in Kyoto, and in that book he mentioned the continuity of the experience between architecture and landscape is key issue of Japanese architecture. And comparing with that experience, the shape is not important, he pointed out. And then he picked up this bamboo terrace experience. This is a good example of the continuity of the experience. And then that is his house. I showed you. This is a huge house, a section of that house. And the location is very strange. It is on the cliff. The building is is melting in the land, and he designed this space. Next. And actually, here the tree is belonging to Hugo House, Bruno Taut House, and my water glass villa is neighbors. By coincidence, I can design this house here. And I also want to create continuity of spaces by use of natural water. That natural water, not bamboo terrace, as a Bruno Taut's case and the Katsura Villa case, the bamboo terrace is between nature and architectures, but my case is a real natural waters was used for that kind of mediator. Next. 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 And now this used to be the private house, but now it was converted to the small boutique hotel, the onsen ryokan. And then if you are interested in that project, you can stay with this ryokan. So it was good as onsen, as a hot spring. Next. As a next project is the Hiroshige Ando Museum. It's a Hiroshige Museum. It's completed 2000. This is a masterpiece of Hiroshige. He's ukiyo-e painters, and many artists was writing about this wood block. Next. One example of this. Was by Vincent van Gogh, probably you know it, the Dutch painters, impressionists, and he wrote about the Hiroshige, and he was inspired by Hiroshige, and he wrote the Hiroshige's method was very different from Western method. In Western method, the three-dimensional space was created by the perspective drawing, but in Asian painting, the space, three-dimensional space is the layers of and the transparent and flat image, and the big difference exists between Western painting and Asian painting. And also Frank Lloyd Wright, as a famous American architect, he was a collector of Hiroshige's wood block, and he learned the transparency from Hiroshige. And this is an example of how Vincent van Gogh wraps Hiroshige's the ukiyo-e painting. In my Hiroshige museum, I want to realize his idea, the transparency, super juxtaposition layers, that kind of things. And it looks like a simple building, but actually this is not so simple. This is a detail of Hiroshige's, and this is the main hall which connects the environment with the building. And this is a plan. This is the center of the city, the center of the village, and this is a mountain and a shrine. And used to be the village as a mountain and shrine are deeply connected. But in 20th century, the relationship was cut. And people forget the existence of the shrine. That's what we invited the vegetable market. Next. And recently we want to adapt those method to some other context, the European context. This is a project in France. The Besançon is the name of the place. Next. This is a site. This is some existing building. Next. So our proposal is to preserve the existing buildings and just have the wooden roof to cover the space. Next. The planning is very simple. It's similar to other. The main space is is the connectors of the natures and the city. Next. And the materials are local material. In this case, it's wood from the forest. Next. 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 As a Flac Marseille is a contemporary art museum in Marseille. This is the site. Next. Again, the material I found in Marseille, city of Marseille. I found in the factory. This is the material I found in the city. This is a recycled glass. Not expensive. The idea is very simple. The building is a vertical street, the spiral street, and then spiral street is covered by the recycled glass, particle of recycled glass. Next. This shows the part as a spiral. There's another particles in Italian project is this volcanic stone. Next. Go back. This volcanic stone is very soft, and if the seeds of the plants came here, then naturally as a vegetable plant grows from the stone, from the stones. This is a quarry, and the quarry itself is beautiful, and I want to use the beauty of the quarry to the building. Next. And then naturally, as the people can get the plants from the stone. Next. This is a stone made by the stones, and the Italian craftsmanship by the stone workers is really amazing. Next is a project in Spain. It's a Granada as a performing arts center. It's an opera house in Granada. The inspiration came from the fruit. This is, Granada is the name of the city, but at the same time, it's the name of this fruit. Fruits of Granada has particles, and it's the internal structures of the fruits, and also the Granada has this Alhambra Palace. Alhambra Palace has a beautiful geometry, which combines a small particle and the big hole. This is an example of the beautiful geometry of Alhambra Palace, close from our site. The inspiration came from the fruits, like that. And structurally, we didn't use the steel and the column and beam structure. Structurally, each hectagon is supporting the building. Next. And then those elements are the hectagons are supporting the whole building, and exposed to exterior and exposed to the interior as well. Next. And then the basic idea is it's a 1,500 seat, but the small space for 50 seat are combined together to create the big 1,500 as a seat, as auditorium. The most recent project we won in Europe is a Victoria and Albert Museum at Dundee, Scotland. This is a first sketch. This is a site. The client is very ambitious. So they decided to use the river for the site of this project. This is a city, this is a river, so they decided to choose this site. Next. So our idea is the geometry of the building in the rivers should be different from the normal as a 90-degree geometry. Next. And this is again as a hole, the void, which connect the rivers and the city. The same idea as Busanson project, and same idea as Bamboo House, and the Hiroshige, all the same idea. The central void is the connectors of the environment. And for the material, in this case, so we are inspired by the masonry project of the Scotland. Next. To use real stone is impossible. It's too expensive. So we use the stone powder of the stones combined with the precast concrete. And precast concrete is the structures of this building. Next. 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 And this structures is exposed to the interior, and this is not the decoration. This is the structures of the building itself, and can be used as a bench and can be used for the stairs as well. Next. This is not real guy. Next. Next. Also in China, we're also doing the project. It's a Hangzhou project. It's a museum of China Academy of Art project. Next. I like the beauty of the ceramic tile in China. The Japanese ceramic tile is too thick. It's probably because of typhoon and because of strong wind. It's too heavy. But Chinese ceramic tiles is very delicate and beautiful. And I decided to use that material for the roof. Next. This is a site. I want to combine the sides and the building. The following the contours are like that. This is a detail of the facade. This is also the ceramic tiles. Through ceramic tiles, the natural light can come. In the final chapters, I want to show some small experimental project. This first one is this tea house. For those projects, I'm working with a student, because this is a good exercise for the student. The material, most of the project, the material is not expensive. For this case, this is a plastic cardboard, and the joint is this. What's called binders? It's a very cheap binders. And this is basically the material is not architectural material. Not actually. It's a daily cheap material. Next. But the effect is not cheap, I believe. And this is the interior of the house. Another paper project is a paper snake in China, in Korea. This is the site. The material is the paper honeycomb. The paper honeycomb itself is very strong. Next. And the thickness of the panel is just 4 centimeters. And the secret of that structure is the angle of this panel. So we didn't use perpendicular geometry. If the geometry is perpendicular, the parallel lines, the parallel panels are not so strong. But if we shift it a little bit, if we can break the parallelness, the structure it is becoming very stable. That is the secret of the structures. Next is a tea house in Germany. Next. This is a tea house. So it's for the museum. And the museum is a strange story. It is in the garden. The original museum was designed by Richard Myers, 1973. It's probably you know, the Richard Meyer's project in Frankfurt. And the directors asked me to design the tea house. But he said, don't use weak material. Why? And I asked him why I can't use natural or weak material. And he said, as Germany is very tough place. Germany is very tough place. The vandalism in Germany is terrible, and don't use the soft material. And I wanted to say that then please ask Ando-san for the some tea house, but I couldn't say it. But after coming back to Tokyo, I found the solution. The material itself is soft, but this tea house is built only it is necessary. And this is a temporary structure, this is flammable structures. This is a system. This is the air, so we push the air into the structure. And only in 10 minutes we can build this house. This is like a cup noodle or something. Next. So this is a double skin structures, and the double skin is tied by these strings. Next. This is interior. You know the nijiriguchi of Japanese tea house. It's a small doors, small entrance doors of Japanese tea house. And this is 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters. We use that size. Next. This is interior of the tea house. The next K by K project is the material is very unique. It's probably most unique material I use. Next. So this material is called the temperature memory alloy. The temperature memory alloy means if the temperature changes, the shape of the metal is changing. If temperature is high, the building has this round shape, and temperature is getting lower, the building is melting like that. It is like the body of, it's like a human body. This is always moving and changing. This is a structural system. Next. And we should use the very thin, the dimension should be very small and thin because it should be soft. And then the diameter of this structure is 1.6 millimeters. Very, very thin structure. Next. And this is the construction site. Because this is too soft, and we should support by the use of this styrofoam. Next. It is too transparent. Next. So next project is a Casa umbrella project in Italy in 2008. So if you understand Japanese, you can understand the meaning. And the casa is in Japanese. In Japanese is umbrella. It's a kind of joking. But the title of the exhibition is the Casa de Tutto. Casa de Tutto means the house for everybody. But I intentionally misunderstand the casa. As a casa is, and I use the umbrella for the structures of this project. The idea is if the 15 umbrella can come together, the 15 umbrella can make the house. This is a special umbrella we designed. This is a very elegant triangle. And the 50th student is bringing the umbrellas. And each umbrella has a zippers, and then can easily connect it. Next. this is the interior. And you remember the triangular fabric is attached to the umbrella. This is a triangular element. It is the openable windows of this house. Next. And actually, people can live in this umbrella house. Next. The next Italian project is a water brick. So I'm very much interested in this polytank. It is it is very standard material. It's used for construction site. The good thing for this the polytank can control the weight by putting the waters into the tank. Next. This is our detail. The first polytank is very similar to Lego block. We put the waters for the basement, and then we can fix this building into the ground. Next. And the second water brick is called water branch. This is more sophisticated. This is we exhibited in the MoMA Museum in New York. This is a water branch. It's a good. Next. This is what the type we designed. Next. The good thing for water branch is this has two valves for both sides, and then we can get the water flows into the pipe. Next. Next. And that means the water is flowing into the wall and the floors. Yeah. It's a New York exhibition. Yeah. And finally, we can build this water brick house in Japan, experimental house. Next. So it's a heat cooler outside, and the water is circulating into the house, into the wall and the floors. And usually, in this normal building, the structure is structure, piping is piping, the finish is finish. But this house, the structure is at the same time the pipe, the water circulating space, and at the same time it is a finish, and then destroys the division of the structure finish and the piping. Next. So again, our students are working very hard. Each blocks are connected by these pipes. Finally, we build the house. Next. This is a kitchen. We call it kitchen. This is a bed. Next. This is a bathtub, and this is the generators. And the idea is that this house is not relying the infrastructures. All energy can be created in this house, and this is a autonomy house. In Italy, the Italian people like the experimental project. They don't ask me the real project, they ask the experimental project. The ceramic company asked me to design the monument in front of their factory. But at the beginning, I don't like their idea, because their idea is like the Gaudi building is the ceramic tiles, the concrete structures, and the ceramic tiles are the two for the surface. And then I told them the different idea. The ceramic tile itself should be the structures, because your ceramic tiles are very strong and can be used for structures of the building. And then finally, we calculated the house structure tile is strong, and we combined the steel pipe and the ceramic tile to create this transparent structure. As a structural analysis, as you can see the pipe and the tile like that. This is another Italian project. I'm sorry, too many Italian projects. It's a stone project. It's stone. The thickness of the stone is about only 1 centimeters. Coming back to Japan, I adapted this idea to the aluminum structure. I worked with the aluminum company in Japan to make this unit. Next. And the joint is very simple. Next. This kind of simple joint. Next. But the joint, structurally, it is very strong. Next. So again, finally, we can build a house by the use of this unit. This is the house, but no flat space. The space section is always like that. This is, again, we call it a kitchen. I adapted this idea to the real interior in Osaka. The joint system is similar to that aluminum unit, but the material is as a wooden panel and as aluminum joint. Next. That's a joint system. Next. The final project is actually today is a Shansha project in Shanghai. It's completed in 2010. Next. This is Shansha is a new brand produced by Hermes. And Hermes try to find the interesting craftsmen from China. For example, the bamboo work from Chengdu. This is a fabric which is a felt from Mongolia. And this one is a Ming Dynasty inspired by Ming Dynasty. Those kind of things. Yeah. I like that idea, and my Shansha shop's idea is to use the very modern technology. Next. This is the material I've used for Shansha. It's a three-dimensional fabric. Usually the fabric has a two direction, x axis, y axis. But this fabric has a three axis, which crosses by 60 degrees. And then easily that fabric can be the three-dimensional shape can be as adapted to that fabric. This is a system of that the three-dimensional three axis. This is a cast system. Yes. so we can get this shade shadows. Next. Yeah. Yeah. Next. Yeah. Sorry. So this is a real final project. This is last month we did this structures. The material is bubble polyurethanes. It's usually used for insulation material. Next. Do you know this as an image? This is as a Gaudi's structures, as catenary structures. So it's upside down. So he created this catenary curve by the use of those weight, and then he flipped again. The same idea was used for for the domes. These structures, the first step is a mesh was suspended from the ceiling like that. And the second step is we blew the polyurethanes form on the mesh like that. And after it's fixed, so we flipped, returned, and then finally the dome was done. Next. This is the structures of the dome. But this is a collaboration with artists, Mariko Mori, and Mariko Mori did this art. Next. This is the structures. It's suspended from the ceiling. Next. This is the final dome. Next. It's a combination of the polyurethane form and the fabric, and then some part of the fabric is transparent. Next. And we are now trying to apply that system for this Gareki museum. Gareki is the disrupted the houses by tsunami. Next. This is our project. The material is from the destructed area. The red bronze shows the area the tsunami has great damage, and the museum project is here. The mesh is here, the gareki is here. And this is a kind of workshop space. It's for the volunteer. The structures, all structures and the galekiers are fixed, will be fixed by the use of polyurethane form. And this is the final project, and next time I can show more, but today the time is limited, and thank you very much. I can get the question and I can answer.
And thank you very much for Kuma-san. All right, let's take this very, very precious time and opportunity to ask questions on those amazing structures, Please.你用中文问，我帮你翻译。如果 Yes, please.
Hi. I like your words. You work hard in small scales of buildings, like details, structures, many details, and the drawings is incredible to me. But what I know that in Japan there are many good workers and engineer, they can support your works. So how if you come to Taiwan or most of the Asian city, the construction site is are healthy and yeah, the yeah yeah, and the workers will do they will ignore the drawings and they will do what they think should do. So we know that architects need very good communicate with the construction site to make sure that your works will going in your like what you like to do. So how is the situation like in Taiwan?
As you pointed out, workers in Japan is very precise. They're doing a very good job. But my idea is to work with a local technology. Even in Japan, each place has a different level of constructions. For example, the Kyoto, the carpenter's level is very high, and also very expensive in Kyoto. But in other places, the levels are not so high as Kyoto's, and not so expensive, and also the material is different. The Kyoto, they are using the best part of cedars, best part of pines, sort of kind of thing. But in countryside, we can get the cheaper material. And it depends on each places. I'm doing the different design. To pick up the characters of the place is most important. And the same as a strategy can be adapted to everywhere. For example, the bamboo house. So my first bamboo house is in Kamakura, is close from Tokyo. The bamboo is very precise. In the drawings, spec the 6 centimeters diameters, and the pitch is 6 centimeters, and 6. It's precisely like that in Japan. But in Beijing, it's very different. The bamboo is not straight. Probably 80% of the bamboo is not straight, painted. And at the beginning, my staff, he came from Indonesia. He came from Bali. And he also liked bamboo very much, and he was so upset. Kuma-san, bamboo was painted like that. Please tell them destroy it. But he was so angry about that. But when I visited the site, I saw it's almost 80% of the construction was done. But it was not as I expected. The bended bamboo shows another beauty. The pictures is if you look carefully, the bamboo is not straight, but still it's beautiful. It's a different kind of roughness and softness was there, and then I told them that I like the construction. I'm okay with that construction at all, and that kind of things can be happening everywhere. So if we can find the beauty of the place, the beauty of the local workers, this is Japanese. It is very straight. It is as a Beijing work. Please look at carefully. It is not straight. And the diameters of the bamboo, the 6 centimeters, but this is some is 5, some is 7, something like that. Probably the Japanese contractors never bring that kind of irregular to the site. They checked everything before. But I like this kind of irregular feeling, and then and also the client likes the feeling very much. And so my method is always like that. I can work with the place. And in Europe, also the construction level is not similar. And in some places in Europe, the construction is not good. So, for example, the wooden workers. So, for example, the Busan project, so we are using wood. But as the Japanese carpenters, is beautifully cut, and the angle is always sharp. But in France, the angle is not so sharp. It's very dull. Yeah, but still, we can find the beauty of the place, and that is our strategy.
So I follow up. Are there concrete inside this bamboo?
Yeah, in Japanese bamboo house. Please go back to the. Just back, go back. Yeah, next one. So this is a bamboo, and as you know, the bamboo has those pillars, and so we eliminate those pillars by using the special drill. We cut those pillars up, and then put the steel, and then put the concrete. Yeah. And this.
Only for the main structure.
Only for the main structures. The diameters of the main structure is 15 centimeters. It's a real bamboo. But in Beijing, we couldn't do that. In Beijing, please. But those are the main structures. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. This is as a bamboo. The bamboo slash is covering the
real column.
Real column.
Concrete column.
Yeah, concrete column. This is the
difference.
difference. This is the difference. I'm not for that. I'm not satisfied.
So how long you think this bamboo would survive?
Yeah, we want to protect as possible as can. Then this eaves has at least 1.5 meters, but it's still not enough. Some part of the bamboo is exposing to the weather, and then after the 5 years, it's completed 5 years, 2007. So we replace some of the bamboo of this house. But the price of the bamboo is very cheap. Almost the replacement is almost nothing.
那还有哪位同学 ？Yes.
Hi, Kajo-san. Actually, I work for you for this summer. So, actually, my friend in KKA gave me your book. Of course, it's in Chinese, so I read it. And I found it's very special name in the book. It's called an anti-object. So, actually, I read the book, but I still is not so clear understand about the anti-object in your concept, because in the first object, first architecture, you show the invisible building in the mountain, and the final object, some object is very different than between the first one. So I very interested. I very want to know the reason of the cause the difference, please.
这位同学在问anti object 反物质，就是他的书里面有常常提到这个概念。
Basically, as I'm respecting the context of the place. For the first project, okay. For the first project is a Kilosan project. I love the beauty of the mountains, and then I want to hide the building as possible as can. The context reflect my solution. And the last project in anti-object is a stone museum or something. Yes, stone museum. It's in the posters of this picture. In that project, the environment is not so beautiful, and we should create something in that kind of boring environment. So then it is not so disappearing. It is really as a theory. For each context, I want to find the best solution for each context. What's not working?
That's okay. Let's speak louder. All right. Any yes? Questions? Questions? Oh yes, please. Let's speak loud.
As you say, your project in Italy, you don't like the client's concept, and you give them another concept. It's just a small person. How many cases you refuse to client?
That's a good question. Always, in the meeting, we always refuse something. We always agree something. It's a combination of refuse and agree. Because basically we should create a good relationship with the client. The client has a bad relationship. We cannot create a good building. Good building, that is important, very important. Some of the students misunderstand. The architects are always fighting. Well, it's the influence of Anderson. In the Anderson book, the architect should fight with the client. But this is not true. He is very friendly person. He is a friendly and a mild person. And the good thing is to establish a good relationship. And then for the good relationship, the 100% agree is not good for them, for both. Because sometimes I refuse. And then the refuse is also important for the client. The client understands, so that refuse should have some meaning. And then so we should use a balance between the okay and the refuse.
So a good client is a good working partner.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Yes, please.
At first you mentioned there's a German architect built Chinese house, and you said the experience in there is incredible. I'm wondering what's the difference between the Japanese designer and also when you built the bubble house, what bubble tea house? And what's the traditional detail you choose to save, and how do you and what do you choose to do?
Any traditional tea house element here?
Like for the, you say the entrance is 16th century.
Yeah, for this tea house, we go to the interior. To the next one. Yes. So for floors, respect the rule of tea house. So very precisely. The size of the tatami and the layout of the tatami, the layout of this fireplaces is very precise. And also this is the main tea house, and behind that there's a preparation space. The relationship is a preparation space and main space is precisely by the drawing the rule. And but so for the upper space, as we are very improvisation, this kind of improvisation. And but the quality of light, the translucent white light, is similar to the rice papers effect. And we are keeping the spirit of the space. And the shape is improvisation. And that kind of pictures of the improvisation is that. And the good thing for me is in Japan, there used to have the two schools, the modernist school and the traditionalist school. So the traditionalist school is called waffle school, waffle Japanese style. Because when the Kenzo Tange was designing in 1960s and 70s, the Kenzo Tange is a modernist, and another direction is the Japanese tradition, divided. I am not the student of the traditional school. But basically, I am the student of the Maki Sensei and Hara Sensei, those kind of modernists, my teachers. And I am not belonging to the traditional school. And then my detail is basically my improvisation. So that is an advantage of my practice.
Okay. Any more questions? Yes, please.
As you say before, architectural structures in the real world, you have several series concepts in different projects. I'm wondering that if you have the main concept when you do the whole architectural design work. In other words, that what kind of architecture that you like, or what kind of architectural way you don't like atoms, concretes, that kind of things.
So basically, I'm open to every material. Use any kind of material. Sometimes I was using concrete. But for each project, I want to make the conversation with the place. So then I should become flexible because each place has a different conditions. that sense, I like everything. I like every case. But I don't want to fix myself into a style.
May I take two more questions? Two last questions, please. Take advantage. Yes, please.
I know that you like architecture, and I want to ask you two questions. Just like Raspberry, for example, when you see architecture and you will know, this is his style. And but your style is very unique, and every masterpiece is in his own unique style. So how can you get this so many inspirations? And another question is, next Tuesday we will having a report about what is architecture and your viewpoints through all those years of your career and studying architecture.
As a comparison with Van Gehry, I always want to get the inspiration from the composition of the place, not from inside. The Van Gehry's architecture seems to be the creation from his inside. As I cannot feel the intimate conversation with the place, the conversation with the culture of the place and the technology of the place. So he is exporting his technology to everywhere. So there's a big difference. But then it's not because of my inspiration. And the second question is, you should think about yourself.
All right, may I take one last question, please? Yes, please.
The mixture of the Chinese tradition with the tropical climate, this kind of relaxing atmosphere mixture of two things is very unique. And for example, the color of the food, the color of the tile, the brick, and a little bit different from mainland China. The difference is not big, but actually the impression is very different. We design something here. I want to focus on that the warmness, the relaxing atmosphere.
If I may, I'd like to save one question for myself. Can we go up a bit? I'd like to ask about that project in France, the Eastern Song project. Yeah, I'll keep on going down. Okay, I'm sorry. Going up. 在法国那个河边上那个。Keep on going on. Yes. Do we have one of those beautiful interior perspectives? Yeah.
This is a semi-outdoors.
that stone, the thin 1 centimeter stone buildings. I wonder if a project like this, full of air and lights, how you do waterproofing with this? That looks so transparent. So I'm not concerned about the physical, how you cover your building, like the museum. I think those are the museum with the wood sticks. Those are cleverly covered with those the curved plastic. How do you do that?
Yeah, the secret is basically two screens. The first screen is very light, like one screen. Behind that is the real borders in New York City. It exists behind the screen. And then if we combine two screens together, the lightness disappears.
So it's a double wall
It's a
here.
double wall.
And when do the physical control?
The physical control is the second screen is basically this insulation and the thermal control always in the second screen. The first screen is controlling the volume control line.
So most time you have the eave, long eave cover.
Yes,
You have
yes.
those semi-outdoors.
Yes, yes. The long leaves is also the secret. The long leaves can protect across the screen.
Yes.
And in that case, and here we have one for the ceiling. We have wooden ceiling and the road up to the roof. This is a double screen.
Is it transparent roof?
It's a kind of the patchwork of the vegetation, the metal, and the building. It's a patchwork of three.
OK，他回答哈，就是我在问他，他的屋子看起来那个光线，那个太阳的这个阳光非常好，他的屋子看起来非常的透，但是就会有水的问题，风的问题，台风的问题。那基本上他们的做法都是双层的墙，或者双层的屋顶。那个真正在保护屋子室内的，通常是比较透明的材料。它通常是放在内，所以他们屋子常常有那种很深的屋檐，那也都是在保护这种空间，让真正的空间，然后跟室外的空间真正的。
How about this one? This is also the same.
Yeah, good, thank you.
The glass, as I said, it's a glazing. It's glass windows because glass windows.
This is amazing.
This is glazing. It's a material for glazing. Actually, there is a space for the cleaning.
Yes.
Between the first screen and the second
People
screen.
can walk in.
Yeah, it's a 6 centimeters space between the two screens.
All right, let's have the confess the class.